Yo, what is up, guys? Welcome to another Roblox video. So, in today's video, I'm going to be telling you my opinion on every Ronald chapter, ranked from worst to best. And yeah, without further ado, worst to best. So without further ado, let's get started. For the worst chapter in Ronald, I would arguably say it is chapter 5, The Mall. This, first off, I don't know if you remember, only people who, probably played when this released remember, but when this chapter came out, it was really weird. It released before part 4, so that they could wait for the RB battles to come out. It was kind of weird, and that's one of the things I don't like about it, and it just feels a little bit stale compared to the other chapters in terms of the cutscenes, and in terms of just a lot of things in general, and the gameplay, because it's the first chapter where we really don't have something, cool or special in the background, because it released before chapter 4, so you gotta remember, we went from chapter 1 being the original, the map was really clean overall, the exits open, but anyway, and then chapter 2 was a prison, it was like a jailbreak, and you could actually put people in the cell. And this is Ronald modded, by the way, for those people new to my channel. And chapter 3 was escaping the laboratory, where Ronald could drag people into the different cells in the laboratory. But now the only thing is the game has slightly changed. At when chapter 5 came out, there was no special thing in the map. And, I don't know, chapter 5 was just kind of stale compared to the other chapters. And I feel like also, it's just not that good in general. For the second worst chapter, we have chapter 7. Chapter 7 was, again, pretty, you know what, no, I'd say chapter 6. Chapter 6 was like chapter 5, except a little bit better, because of the cutscenes, and the map was a little smoother, and it had things like mutant references. The only thing I don't like about it, however, is at the end of chapter 7, Ronald catches up to us and says, haha, I win. And then in chapter 7, it starts off with us in a car, but it never shows how he got away from Ronald, which is one thing that I think is kind of annoying that they didn't include that. But, yeah, that's really all I had to say. After that, I would put chapter 7. Chapter 7 is an alright chapter, it's just the thing I don't like about it is, it feels a tiny bit, sort of, okay, why do I still have the white key? It, again, feels, in terms of gameplay, a little bit stale, but it's still a good chapter, and it's good because it introduces lore like the Burger King. So yeah, that's what I'd have to say. Anyway, after that, the next thing on the list is the finale, chapter 8. The map overall is pretty clean, and the metaverse event is pretty cool. So overall, that is pretty cool. But the only problem is, again, there's no special things in the map, and it is just stale compared to the other chapters. And another thing I don't like about it is the cliffhanger. The cliffhanger is not that good, honestly. But yeah, that's really all I have to say about that chapter. Next up on the list, we have got, next up on the list, we've got chapter 4, part 4. Part 4 is a pretty cool chapter because you are racing your friends through different dimensions to try to get to the end and go through a portal, and it is a nice, fun challenge you can do against your friends. Of course, the map is really good because it constantly keeps changing since you're going through different dimensions. But the thing is, the only issue is, compared to the other maps are peak. It's just not that good. But moving on to now the top 3. In third place, we have got Laboratory X. Laboratory X is basically, okay, that guy's doing nothing. Laboratory X basically is the map itself is cool. Not as cool as Chapter 4, I'd say, but the reason it's better is it has a special feature where, because the map is harder than most maps, Ronald can drag people into, since it's harder for the players, to make it easier for them, instead of Ronald one-shotting them, he drags them into these cells, which kills them. Doesn't kill them, but it slowly drains their health, and if they're not saved, they die. So yeah, overall, I'd say it's pretty unique, but I'd say the top 2 chapters are my absolute favorite. This might come as a shock to some people, but instead of Chapter 1 being number 1, I would put it at number 2. The map is overall really clean. I love the map. This is by far my favorite Ronald map ever. Probably my favorite map in a, Piggy clone game. But what makes this second best and not first best is it doesn't really have anything special in the game. What I'm trying to say is the laboratory, you can drag people to cells, and it's cool, but there is one more chapter that has something special that makes the game really fun, and that's why it's my favorite. And if you guys don't know what my favorite chapter is already, then my favorite chapter is Part 2, Prison Escape. The cutscenes are super clean, with Ronald taking us to prison, crashing into a wall, and the cutscenes are overall amazing. I love the cutscenes more than any map in the game. And the gameplay itself is really fun. The map is really well done, and the cool, having to break people out of prison, that is really cool. So, overall, it is just cool in general. I like Chapter 2 a lot. But yes, that is my Ronald tier list. That is my ranking. I hope you guys have a good day, and bye.